The offseason is officially here, and with it comes the question that always dominates Cowboys talk. Who are they going to chase in? Free agency. Dallas has needs everywhere, and this year feels like one of those rare moments where the front office could actually make some noise. We are not just talking about a single position or a couple of names. The Cowboys need help at running back, offensive tackle, edge rusher, linebacker, cornerback, and safety. 6 areas that could define the direction of the team next season, depending on what they do in free agency and what happens with their own players. And the truth is, there are options everywhere. Some are big, some are small, but all of them are worth considering. Let's start with running back, because if the Cowboys lose Javonte Williams, they absolutely need a plan. One of the most intriguing names out there is Breece Hall from the Jets. Hall has had a roller coaster career so far, but there is no denying the talent. He is explosive, he can make defenders miss, and he can be a real game changer when he is in the right system. The Jets have never built a true run-first identity. That suits his skill set, and that has limited his ability to show what he can do. If he hits free agency, he will be near the top of a lot of teams' wish lists, and he might even be the best running back available. For Dallas, that could be huge. A player like Hall could help balance the offense, take pressure off the passing game, and give the team a true home run threat on the ground. If you want a more consistent and reliable option, Travis Etienne is still on the radar. He has multiple seasons of 1,000-yard rushing, and that kind of consistency matters. He may not be as dynamic as Javonte Williams was when he was healthy, but he fits what the Cowboys need, a back who can handle volume, protect the football, and contribute in the passing game. Etienne is the kind of runner who might not wow you every week, but he gives you steady production. And that stability can be valuable. If the Cowboys want a safe choice, Etienne is a solid one. Another name to watch is Kenneth Walker from Seattle. He had a strong season, clearing 1,000 yards, and he has shown he can be a productive back when healthy. The Seahawks have had injury issues and have not always been efficient in their run game, but they have stayed committed to it. Walker did not get the goal line work consistently, but he still showed he can be a physical, reliable runner. If Dallas wants someone who can grind it out and help control the clock, Walker fits that bill. He is the kind of player who can keep the chains moving and give the defense a rest, which is something the Cowboys have struggled to do at times. Then there is J.K. Dobbins, a player we have discussed a lot over the last year. The biggest question with Dobbins is always the same. Can he stay healthy when he is on the field? He is a difference maker. He is explosive, tough, and he can break tackles in a way that few backs can. But his injury history makes him a risky investment. If Dallas is willing to take a chance, though, Dobbins could be a massive upgrade. The question is whether he can stay on the field long enough to justify the contract. If the Cowboys believe they can manage his workload and keep him healthy, he could be a real steal. If the Cowboys lose Javonte and want a cheaper option, Tyler Allgeier could be a dark horse candidate. He has been doing a lot of outside zone work in Atlanta, but he has shown he can be more effective when he is not solely reliant on that scheme. Interestingly, he tends to play well every other year, and then he has a down year. That inconsistency makes him a risk, but also a potential bargain. He could be had for a lower price if the Cowboys get priced out of the top running back market. But the priority for Dallas should be re-signing Javonte Williams if they can, because he fits the system and has shown what he can do when healthy. Now let us talk offensive tackle, because if the Cowboys decide to move on from Terrence Steele, the options are not exactly exciting. This is one of those positions where you do not want to be desperate in free agency, because the really good tackles rarely hit the open market. But if Dallas needs to replace Steele, there are still a few names to consider. Braden Smith is one of them. His overall grade is similar to Steele's, maybe a little better in pass protection, but not quite as strong as a run blocker. The concern with Smith is his age. He is getting up there, and that matters, especially at a position where you need guys who can stay healthy and consistent year after year. Still, if Dallas wants a veteran presence who can hold the line in pass protection, Smith is worth a look. Jonah Williams is another option. He has ties to Clayton Adams from their time in Arizona, and that familiarity could be valuable. The problem is he was not very good this past season. The Cardinals' offense struggled, and the offensive line was a mess, especially without Clayton Adams. There is a chance Williams could bounce back in a new environment, but there is also the risk that his best days are behind him. He has also had injury issues. which is another red flag if the Cowboys bring him in. They would be hoping for a return to form rather than expecting him to be a sure thing. Cam Robinson is a name that has been bouncing around the league for a while now, and he might be a swing tackle option for Dallas. The problem is his recent performance has been rough. He has become something of a journeyman, and that inconsistency is a concern. But if the Cowboys are looking for depth and a low-risk option, Robinson could be someone they consider. Trent Brown is another veteran tackle to watch. When he is healthy, he can be very good. But he has not played many snaps over the last few seasons. His injury history makes him hard to trust. And if Dallas is willing to take a gamble on his medicals, he could be a big upgrade. But that is a big if. Then there is Kelvin Beachum, who is basically a slightly worse version of Jonah Williams. The problem with the offensive tackle market is that there are not many great options. If you cut Terrence Steele, you are likely looking at a group of players who are either past their prime or have significant injury concerns. That is why it is so important for the Cowboys to think long-term and not just chase a quick fix in free agency. If they do not, they could end up paying for a stopgap that does not solve the problem, and then they will still have to address the position in the draft. Now let us shift to defense, where the real excitement is. The edge rusher market is wide open, and the Cowboys need help there. One of the biggest names available is Trey Hendrickson. He has been a dominant pass rusher when healthy, putting up 17.5 sacks in back-to-back seasons. The problem is injuries have slowed him down, and he is getting older. He might be looking for a one-year deal to prove he still has it, and that could be a risk worth taking. Pair him with a guy like Micah Parsons, or bring back another piece to complement him, and you could have a really dangerous pass rush. Jalen Phillips is another name to watch. He was traded to the Eagles and showed flashes of being a disruptive pass rusher. The issue with Phillips is consistency. He can be dynamic, but he is not always a finisher. He creates pressure, but it does not always turn into sacks. If the medicals check out, he could command a hefty contract, which might be too rich for Dallas, but if they believe in his potential, he could be a high-reward target. The Cowboys have to decide if they want to gamble on upside or pay for proven production. Then you have the veteran mercenary options like Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Mack is a legend, but he is older and it is unclear how much he has left. Still, if he plays a full season, he could give you 5 to 7 sacks, which is valuable. He is one of the most consistent players in the league, even if he is not the same player he was a few years ago. Bosa is another high-profile option, but injuries have been a concern, and his sack numbers have not improved recently. If Dallas wants to bring in a veteran edge rusher on a one-year deal, these are the kinds of names you look at. Finally, there is Quinnen Williams, the former first-round pick from the Colts. He has been productive in the past, and even though this past season was a bit down, he still has the talent. If the Cowboys can get him at a reasonable price, he could be a strong addition. He is the type of player who fits the Cowboys mold, a former high draft pick who still has upside and could thrive in a new system. The free agency picture does not get any less interesting once you move past the obvious positions. If anything, the pressure starts to build even more, especially on the defensive side of the ball. The Cowboys know that without a consistent pass rush and a defense that can win one-on-one matchups, they are going to be stuck in the same cycle. The offense can carry you for a while, but the teams that win championships are the ones that can make impact plays on defense, force turnovers, and create pressure without relying on blitzing every snap. That is why the linebacker, cornerback, and safety markets are so important for Dallas, and why they have to be smart about who they bring in. One of the biggest names that could be in play is Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from the Jaguars. This guy had a breakout season and really boosted his stock. Even though the tackle numbers might not jump off the page, the quality of those tackles is what stands out. He was excellent in coverage and showed real growth as a complete linebacker. The Jaguars made a mistake turning down his 5th-year option, and now they are paying the price. He is going to command a huge contract if he hits free agency, and the Jaguars are going to try to keep him, but the truth is, he is going to be expensive. We are talking something in the range of $15 to $16 million per year. Maybe even more, depending on how the market shakes out. For Dallas, that kind of money is a big commitment, and the question is whether they are willing to invest that much in a linebacker who is still relatively young but has already shown he can be a true playmaker. Quincy Williams is another name that has been linked to the Cowboys for a while, And it honestly makes a lot of sense. The Jets linebacker has been productive in the past. And his brother is already in Dallas. That connection alone is not enough. But when you combine it with the Cowboys' need at linebacker, it starts to feel like a match. Williams had some issues in New York this past year, and his time there did not end smoothly, but he has shown he can be a high-impact player if the money is right. This is the kind of move Dallas could make because they love to sign players who fit their physical, aggressive style. The Cowboys have a history of doing things that make sense on paper, and Quincy Williams fits that mold. He is the kind of player who can come in and set the tone, play with attitude, and help the defense be more physical at the second level. Key Walker is another former first-round pick who could be on the Cowboys' radar. He took a step back this past season, at least in terms of overall impact. The tackle numbers were there, but the Packers' linebacker cores as a whole seem to decline. Walker is a great athlete and has shown he can be a playmaker, but he is also someone who has missed games. There is a question of consistency, and that matters when you are paying a premium. Still, he is the type of player who could thrive in a new system, especially if he is surrounded by the right supporting cast. The Cowboys will have interest, and so will plenty of other teams. The key is whether Dallas wants to bet on his upside or go after a safer, more proven option. Alex Singleton is a name that might make more sense depending on who the Cowboys' next defensive coordinator is. The Broncos linebacker had an outstanding season, racking up a massive number of tackles and staying healthy. He is the kind of guy who is a tackling machine, but his fit depends on the defensive scheme. If the Cowboys go with a coordinator who wants a more traditional, downhill linebacker, Singleton could be a perfect fit. He is not necessarily a flashy player, but he is consistent, tough, and reliable. That kind of player can be a real asset in a defense that needs stability. The Cowboys have been criticized for having too many players who are either inconsistent or one-dimensional, and Singleton is the kind of guy who can bring balance and reliability to the middle of the defense. Eric Wilson is another linebacker to watch. He has been a bit of a journeyman, but he has shown he can produce in the right system. He played well in the Brian Flores defense this past year, and his tackle for loss numbers were impressive. The problem is, he has not always been consistent over the long term. But if the Cowboys believe they can get the best out of him, he could be a solid addition. He is the type of player who can come in and contribute right away. And sometimes, that is exactly what you need if Dallas is looking for a player who can step in, play fast, and be a presence in the run game. Wilson is someone to consider. The key will be whether they believe he is a fit for their style, and whether they can get him at a reasonable price. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. Whispers around the league have grown louder in recent hours, and at the center of the storm is one of the Cowboys' brightest stars. According to people close to the locker room, CeeDee Lamb has delivered a blunt message to the front office, one that has sent shockwaves through the organization and ignited intense debate among fans and executives alike. The alleged ultimatum is as dramatic as it is risky. If a certain unnamed player is brought to Dallas, Lamb would seriously consider walking away. The rumor suggests the issue is not about money or market size, but about identity, hierarchy, and respect. Lamb has emerged as the face of the Cowboys offense, a player who believes the system should be built around his skill set and leadership. The possible rival of him, described by insiders as a high-profile star with a strong personality, is said to threaten that balance. Those familiar with the situation claim Lamb fears becoming a secondary option, both on the field and within the locker room, something he is unwilling to accept at this stage of his career. Inside the Cowboys headquarters, the situation is reportedly delicate. On one hand, management is always exploring ways to elevate the roster and chase the ultimate prize. On the other, losing Lamb would mean more than just subtracting elite production. It would signal internal fracture and raise uncomfortable questions about long-term direction. Teammates are said to be divided, with some excited by the idea of a blockbuster addition and others quietly siding with Lamb's stance. For now, nothing is official. No statements, no confirmations, only silence and speculation. But in a league where perception often becomes reality, the mere existence of this rumor has added a layer of tension to every move the Cowboys might make. Whether this is a negotiating tactic, an emotional reaction, or a genuine line in the sand remains to be seen. What is clear is that the Cowboys are facing a high-stakes dilemma. One that could redefine their future and test just how far they are willing to go to keep their star satisfied. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.